Q&A. Thank you guys. You gave me some questions, so let's go through these. Am I recording? Yes. Have I got a decent level? Yes. Right, I'm going to go from whoever asked the first question and we'll go up. So, I wonder if we can make this... actually, no, we don't want it bigger. Hopefully you can read that. On my screen here it looks a bit fuzzy, but I think in 1080p it will look clear for you. Right, first question. I would like to know where my voice is in order to get the best exercises for me to go forward from where I am now. Can you do that? Yes, I could do that, Ashley Burt. That's a question of booking a lesson with either me or another coach that you trust or like, and seeing if they can give you some guidance. That's really it with that one. You could potentially send me some demos, but it's still difficult to... all I can do really is send you a few tips via, writing. It's not as good as just being there and saying yes, no, do this, do that, do this, do that, because then I can just filter out exactly where you need to be, so you take that little road into the correct direction. And I will chuck up my email address in a comment right now, just so if you do want to do that, feel free. There you go. Right. Next one. Leteam Awesome. Do you think people are genetically disposed to certain styles of singing? Or is it mainly the technique they've practiced? Or some combination? For example, you sing in a fairly light but consistent way through your range, which sounds great for your style, but I can't imagine you singing hard rock or drastically different styles. Another example is Ken Tamplin. He can sing hard rock styles well, but sounds XXXX when doing pop. So is that just due to a lack of technique on his part? Some vocal damage perhaps, or his lizard genetics? Right, let's unpack this one. So I think that what's genetically predisposed in a human being, in one sense, is their basic temperament. Some people are more extrovert in nature, some people are more introvert in nature, some people are more aggressive in nature, some people are more placid in nature, some people are more gambling in nature, risk takers, some people are more security focused in nature. So those kinds of different types of temperament certainly angle us towards potentially different styles of music and different approaches to singing. If you're very comfort orientated, if you're very conforming in your character, for example, you may lean more towards a style like classical, which I would say is more conforming in nature than a lot of more modern stuff. If you're very comforting in nature, you might lean more towards a style which is generally a little bit more technically less demanding, because it requires you to take less risk to develop and learn a style that is less technical demanding. If you're a gambler, this is why men are obsessed with range, because typically they take more risks than women, and they want to. They needed to in the past because they were the ones going out and dying for the family to keep us alive, so to speak, back in your caveman times. So men evolved to take more risks than women on average. I'm talking about, obviously you can point to individuals, but I'm talking about on average. So as singers, men typically want to develop more range, which requires them to make more mistakes, which requires them to fall over and take some knocks on the way up. And that would be an example of singers that are leaning more towards risk taking and gambling, etc., in their basic temperament. So that gives you some sense of how, and obviously different styles, like rock, for example, much more extravagant, I would say typically more male dominated, versus pop, which is more of a balance between the genders typically. So that gives you some example of how somebody's temperament can be in some sense genetically predisposed and can lead them towards different styles of music and being interested in different styles of music. So that's something to think about. Specifically in regards to my voice, I do sing light, but I also sing pretty heavy in terms of I sing in full voice quite a lot in my songs. So I'd say I kind of have a balance. The one thing I personally lack at the minute, which I'm working on, is a bit more high range and full voice. So I think that's probably where your confusion's coming in a little bit. I want to develop some more of that, so I'm working on that at the minute, and we'll see where it goes. Particularly watching some Jamie Vendera videos at the minute, which are helping me to solidify some ideas in my head. But I'm training a little bit more focused at the minute for thicker compression through my second bridge, just to really start developing that a little bit more. So yeah, that's something that I need to work on. But in terms of tampling, I'd say that the differences with Ken is that the reason he doesn't sound convincing with pop and R&B is because pop and R&B are the styles which really expose his technical limits. I've brought this up in other videos, but basically he's got quite a lot of clutter in the mid-range of his sound, and pop music that particularly focuses on that mid-range area. For men, it will be between above middle C to, say, basically middle C to high C. In the middle of that area, if you're getting him to sing medium volumes, low volumes, heavier volumes, he's going to sing. Some of the heavier volumes will be fine. The medium and light volumes will be something won't quite sink in. He's just not worked on it enough. It's nothing personal. It's just that's the hole in his voice that he needs to work on. Whether or not he'll address it and be open about it, like I have just a couple of minutes ago, in terms of stuff I need to work on, is another matter. I think his ego is a big problem. So yeah, best of luck to him with that. Right, I think that's pretty good with that one. I'm pleased with that. Frank Manino. Right, this guy, for some reason, he always writes in all caps, and I don't know if his English isn't very good, but I can't understand half the stuff he's asking me. Question is, it's the song that I can't sing, the voice just gives out like 30 seconds into a song. But knowing from the past, by practicing and determination, it seems to find a way to nail a song, but still like a song. Okay, so no punctuation. But the first thing he said is that when he sings songs, after 30 seconds, his voice gives out. Practice and determination, it seems to get better. Yeah, when you get better at your technique, your voice will typically not give out for a longer period of time. When I started, I could sing like half a song and I was done. My voice would get immediately hoarse, immediately scratchy, immediately I'd feel pain. Over 6 months, a year, that moved to 1 or 2 songs. Over a few years, it moved to 3 or 4 songs. Over 10 years, it moved to I can sing, for 2 hours, no problem at all, and I never have any issues with my voice. So yeah, when you improve, you don't have these problems, but it's step by step. It doesn't just happen overnight, because abusive technique takes time to undo and unwind. It's not something that will be immediately fixed, because you've got to rehabitualize the voice, which takes time, unfortunately. Van Halen Dreams seems to be very difficult song to sing. I was listening to this just before this video, and it's a tough one. And the guy that sings it in the original video, it's hard to really isolate the vocal because there's a lot going on in this track, but it doesn't sound like he had the most healthy technique, shall we say. Bee Gees, like the Bee Gees, what are good workouts for fast, hard and loud songs, because been singing slow chest voice. I don't know what slow chest voice songs means the first few years, but the last 2 years I found myself moving into opera and fast, hard songs. Okay, I think he means metal and high chest mix, this kind of style, or more opera. Yeah, when you're singing that stuff, whatever you're doing, some styles or some types of technique might be harder for you to get purely because you haven't developed the skill set yet. So for me, high mix above the second bridge in full voice, yeah, I can get it, but is it as bang on and as consistent as a medium or legit sound? Right now, no. So I got to work on that and chip away at it. All these different types of sounds require broadly the same skill set, but then they also require slightly different skill sets for each one. So it's like there are a lot of similarities, but then there are also small differences that you need to become familiarized with and understand. For example, in full voice, you're dealing with a lot more sensation. You're dealing typically with a lot more sense of thick compression and trying to thin that out, and keeping it in the mix with split resonance. And those are the differences. All that sensation can be difficult to deal with, all that resonance, and also you having to squeeze hard in a full voice. When I say hard, I mean it's like, in a legit voice, I've got a shopping bag, with maybe just a few bits of vegetables in, easy to lift. But once I start adding weight, compression to the voice, you put in tins of soup, tins of beans, liquids in there, and all of a sudden that bag's heavy. Lifting that bag, you've got to coordinate this muscle in your arm. You really get a sense of having to squeeze on it, and that's the difference between your legit medium and medium sounds versus full voice. There's more sensation, you feel more grip in the muscles. Now that tension has got to be focused tension, very laser focused and isolated, but the extra tension's there. So a lot of the time people think, oh, I'm pulling, I am, that can't be right because I'm feeling a lot too much. Now it's more about isolating the right muscles and squeezing them and engaging those muscles to the degree to which they need to be engaged in full voice, and that shouldn't be mistaken for tension. Now, learning to discern between bad tension and good tension, I've spoke about it on the videos. It takes time, it's difficult, but that's the challenge we all face as singers. Anyway, I think I've deciphered some of the things he was trying to talk about. Frank, listen, learn some punctuation, learn to put some full stops and some question marks in there, learn to maybe choose your words a bit more carefully, and I'll be able to help you a bit more in terms of my response. I'm assuming you don't speak English as your first language, so I'm not being hard on you, I'm just saying that it's hard for me to grasp everything. Cuties Albu, I asked about head voice. Your head voice is among the best in all YouTube teachers. Maybe you could create a playlist on that, or just at least a video. I have got some videos on legit head voice, or just release falsetto, however you want to call it. And the reason it's good is because I am able to really isolate the right muscles and get right on the edges of those chords. Yeah, it's just so on the edge and so small and coordinated. Now, often you see comments where people are like, oh yeah, but you're singing in falsetto, not full voice, so as if it's some kind of cop-out. And possibly in some contexts, yes, if a singer is defaulting to a disconnected sound because they couldn't keep hold of the compression through their range on a particular song, then yeah, maybe you could have that argument. If there's a lot of push in it as well, and the chords are coming apart, yeah. But that legit sound, let me tell you, it's hard to do well. This is why singers like Tom York, Jeff Buckley, Jimmy Necco also does it well, though his voice is not what it used to be at the minute. But these types of singers, the reason they found a lot of success is because they had that pinpoint legit style head voice that they could access very easily. Now, a lot of singers access a similar type of sound, but it's not as efficient and it's not as well coordinated. It's hard to sing that well in that legit sound. There's a very refined coordination, very delicate in terms of the how you create it. It's like it's like a very, very detailed in terms of how it works. Um, so I think about it in terms of very much very efficient use of the right muscles. Everything else is staying relaxed, and I am just right on the edges of the chords. There's always a sense of closure. Yeah, it's never where I'm losing coordination and it's an inefficient sound. So what you're hearing is you're hearing an efficiently made sound with just enough air and exactly the right type of closure on the chords to get that real pure sound to it. Also, my voice is in very good condition typically because I don't do much distortion or anything like that. My chords are always aligned and very much well coordinated, and I don't say that as in a bragging way. It's just I've just spent a lot of time working on keeping those chords in line and coordinated in a very healthy way, and I've got Brett Manning and Shelby Rollins to thank for that. Right, next one, Tony Craxton, and yeah, I will be doing more videos on head voice, legit head voice. Certainly. There is some stuff I've done before, but I'll do another one this week probably, or next week, and we'll see how that goes. Do you, Tony Craxton, do you work out your voice regularly? If yes, what do you do? What do you work on? What exercises do you, and what exercises do you think are most important? I work out basically every day. Now, some days I'm at work and I have to do I can't sing loud at work, so I have to do a lot of closed mouth work, a lot of kind of legit head voice work, stuff like this that's low volume that I can do when people are around, and otherwise it would be obnoxious at work. So luckily I work in a venue. The music in the venue's loud, so a lot of the time, even when I'm outside, once this show's started, I'll be on my own for like an hour till the break. And there will be not many people around, so I'll be able to make a bit of noise but not too loud. So when I do on working days, those are the kinds of things I do. Like I said, closed mouth, sirens, closed mouth scales, basically a hum, on different levels of compression though. So because you can hum, if I have a it's very little amount of compression, versus if I lean into that hum more, yeah, and I typically do a lot of that, and like the legit stuff I just demonstrated before, but generally a little bit louder than what I was doing. I've not sung at all today, so I'm kind of just giving you tidbits here and there. Outside of that though, what do I do? So Monday to Friday typically, so I work generally Friday, Saturday, Sunday at the Albert Hall. Monday to Friday I will do typically I've got Mastering Mix and Singing Success 360. Most of the time I'm working with Mastering Mix, which is a singing success program. I'll typically nowadays, let me just get up the program. Singing, Mastering Mix. So I will do the warm-up CD, which is 4 or 5 exercises. I typically miss out 1 or 2 of these that aren't particularly important for me, like the edgy fry. I don't do that much, but a lot of the others I do. So I go through that. Then I typically I used to just go through 2 CDs, so I'd pick 2 random CDs basically and go through them. But nowadays I tend to mix it up, so I'll tend to do a bit of work on my legit stuff. So this is the head voice CD, this pianissimo exercise I do a lot of. Sometimes I go through the demo and go up more into the female range. That's one of the ones that really helps me develop my legit head voice above, what's it, E5, the E above the E above high C for men, whatever that is. You drift through the 3rd bridge as a man. So that pianissimo exercise helped me to start getting through that 3rd bridge more. I don't get through that third bridge every day. Some days it's there more than others. Some days I get through the fourth bridge, but other days, I don't get through either. So it's just, it's my voice is different from day to day. So I'll do some of the head voice stuff. I'll do typically some from this mix workout. So a lot of the time for my heavier mix, I'll use these go and but exercises because obviously they help me get more grip. Go, 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 boo, boo, boo. They really help you take compression through the range. Typically I'll take those up through the second bridge and back down. A lot of these scales in mastering mix are tailored really specifically to certain jobs. So the go and the buh, with the male exercises, it'll typically go to around high C and then back down, whereas the pianissimo and the headier ones will typically go higher for you. I also do this last one on mix workout, which is but I kind of change it. I use this last one to do open vowels. So basically it's ooh, oh, ah, ee, ah, and it goes up and down the range. So I do that one, which is helping me to maintain consistent closure, ooh, ooh, oh, ah, whilst changing what's happening with the vowel in the mouth, and obviously ah, ooh, oh, ah. The larynx will the larynx will change in height a little bit to adjust the vowels. The mouth's moving, but the fundamentals of even compression, even airflow, and not allowing all that stuff, and obviously staying on pitch, not allowing that stuff to shift at all whilst you get the mouth mobile and changing vowels and stuff. So that helps me a lot in terms of isolating the mouth and the vowels from what the chords are doing on a more fundamental level. I also spend a fair amount of time on this mixed 2-octave hum, like that one a lot, and do this high, middle and low larynx exercise. I tend to do that at a medium volume. Sometimes I do it louder. Really depends on the day. If my voice is feeling better some days, I'll tend to take it a bit heavier, and on days where I'm not feeling so good, I'll tend to keep a bit of the weight off, just so I'm keeping the coordination there. Some days when your voice isn't feeling so good, you have to really focus on that medium volume stuff, because if you don't address that and make sure the coordination is bang on, it's easier to lose the coordination on the heavier sounds if on those tougher days. And often what you find is once you worked on the medium volume stuff for quite a while, the heavier stuff will just tend to start falling into place more naturally. I tend not to do too much on the vowels only one, because like I said, I tend to adapt that fifth exercise, the last exercise on CD5, which is really all the vowel opening and vowel only exercises I feel like I need typically. If you notice, most of these, if I can find it again, most of these are going from headier vowels to more mixy type vowels. So you start on we and woo, and then you go to e, something like that anyway, and then it's e, a, u, o, ah. Yeah, so you're moving from legit sounds to medium sounds to full voice sounds, or full voice vowels, however you want to describe it. I can do that in this exercise on my own. So like I said, some days I'll angle it more depending on what I'm looking for that day. You can approach an exercise in very different ways depending on how your voice feels, depending on your goal that day, depending on, like I said, what you want to work on that day. System of bridges. I spoke about that one. This one I missed though. This light mix exercise I often do. This really drills the mid-range from about E above middle C up towards into the second bridge and back down. That really helps me drill, and it gives you a lot of chances to get the pitch bang on. I said about the high, middle and low. Do vowels only, spoke about that. And then I think the other ones, these two are song examples which I never really go through. The first CD I don't bother with much because it's just chest voice, and typically I don't struggle with that these days. It's something that I'm pretty comfortable with, and I'm using in all the other exercises. Like I said, I use a little bit of the head voice. The pharyngeal one I don't typically use because I'm exercising that in the the closed mouth hums and things like that. They're all pharyngeal anyway. So I tend to tailor what I'm doing each day at the minute, depending on in terms of the exercises I use on this course. I'll dot around and things. I don't necessarily recommend that for other people. Like I said, I used to, for years, I used to just do the warm up and then I'd pick. So I'd do CD 1 and 2 on Monday, CD 2 and 3 on Tuesday, CD 4 and 5 on Wednesday, 6 and 7 Thursday, this kind of thing. And I did that for quite a few years, just looping those round. Nowadays, like I say, I tend to just really focus in on what I'm looking for on that particular day. I don't know if that's the best way to do it. It's just the way I do it now, and it helps me keep it fresh, helps me keep it interesting for me, which is the most important thing, because drilling exercises and grinding each day can be really boring. So you've got to find a way to keep it fresh for yourself, and that's generally how I do it. So I do that Monday to Friday. I'll probably spend about 45 minutes to an hour doing this kind of thing, and then I'll spend about another hour and a half rehearsing my set, which is about 15 to 30 songs, something like that. Usually I do about 15 to 20 songs, but sometimes I do more. And during that rehearsal I'll generally go through every song in one take, no stopping, and then sometimes after a song or towards the end I'll rewind and just pick out some individual bits that are harder to sing than others and work on those a little bit, depending on how the rehearsal goes. Some days at the moment I'll go through my whole set and there'll be no problems with the technique, so I won't need to go back. Other days when I'm nervous or a bit scared, I'll have issues and I'll need to go back and address them and confront them, so to speak. So yeah, I hope that should give you some context about what I do each day. That was pretty good, I think. The mum exercise, could you demonstrate how to press in? I mean, press into the coordination to build power in the sound. Also, wee, wee, wee. So, it's real simple, right? All we're looking for is just the same as this. If I go like this, ma, ma, ma. Yeah, there's a lack of closure. Ma, 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 ma. If I can get to there, ma, 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 versus ma, 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 ma. Yeah? That's the only difference I'm looking for if I want to add presence to the sound. Now, you can close the chords that same way at any point of your range. If we have ma, 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 go, 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 ma, 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 go, 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 ma, 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 ma. Ma, 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 go, 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 ma, 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 ma. Yeah? So what I'm looking for is to find that nice little simple e, 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 ma, 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 ma. Yeah, I'm just looking to find that little bit of bite, but it's from exactly the right spot. Usually the problem people have is they're like, ma, ma, ma. They're reaching up and getting all crazy and cluttered in what they're doing. Messes everything up. And rather than thinking, right, how can I just find that nice little bit of ma, 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 ma. Go, 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 ma, 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 ma. Yeah? Go, 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 ma, 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 ma. Go, 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 ma, 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 ma. Yeah? The reason I'm going to the go first is because I've not sung today, so I'm having to use that G to help me find some closure, because the chords don't want to do much yet. But the point is, when we have that nice legit sound where we can coordinate the voice without any clutter, we can just find a little bit of oh, 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 e, 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 versus e, ooh, ooh, ooh. Yeah, we're looking for that simple bite that gives us closure but maintains the freedom in the sound. That's the best way I can describe it. And it doesn't matter what sound you make, you do it on any sound, mum, we, go, bu, it's all the same really ultimately. Yeah, if you get the fundamentals right and you can find that nice little bite without any clutter, adding presence is the least of your worries. It's pretty easy once you get it. Once you get it right, it's not hard to do. The problem is getting to the point where you've got a clutter-free sound without any external muscles, without any bits and bobs getting in the way. A lot of the reason singing gets hard is because there's too much going on and so much in the way that we lose the basic easy approach that we should have. That's Josh Brown. Right. I can't say this. Abdullah Asaba. Hopefully. 17-year-old male. Are there any possibilities for my range to change or for my tone to change? Yes, your range can be grown. And at 17, you've got plenty of time ahead of you to work on your range. That's just a matter of learning your chops, learning your technique. The better you get at it, the stronger those muscles get at stretching out and lengthening the vocal cords. Your range will gradually open up and develop. Can you change your tone? Well, yes, you can. Ideally, at least from my perspective, you want a tone that is unmanipulated, as unmanipulated as possible. So very clean and very simple in your approach. At least for singing contemporary music that's going to earn you money. All the ones that earn money have very typically a very clutter-free sound. If you mess around with your basic tone too much, it disconnects people. It creates a bit of a barrier between you and the listener. So always be careful. You don't want to mess around too much. The way you want to change your tone is to improve it. The way you improve it is through getting better at the technique. Yes, there are some changes you can make in terms of angling the vowels in certain directions, but it's always got to be subtle work. What people tend to do is they over adjust and everything becomes too dark or too bright or too just too much one way or the other. Too much in this direction, too much in that direction, rather than subtle changes in the middle, which tend to be more effective. Unfortunately, when you haven't refined what you're doing, it's easy to over adjust, and most problems with singing are often, believe it or not, are caused by an over adjustment or an overcompensation for a problem, which leads the singer down the other way too far. So it's tricky. Voice breaks frequently. I wouldn't worry about that. That's normal when you're younger. The solution to that is learn to take your voice up in pitch without taking any weight up, which admittedly for men is typically tricky to do at first. But like I said, you've got to learn it. That will come with developing your range and just developing that nice head voice that we all look for, and I spoke about earlier. My voice breaks for... Do you have any tips how to support? Because every time I sing, my voice gets tired afterwards. Well, as you get better, your voice will get less tired because you won't be... These neck muscles and tension muscles we don't want become less involved. The right muscles become more isolated. You will get tired even when you sing very well. But typically you'll have a lot more stamina as your technique improves. I'm not somebody that subscribes to, you can sing all day every day and never get tired if you've got perfect technique. Your voice will get tired. It will just get tired much more slowly when you've got isolated the right muscles, and those muscles have got very strong. See, when you can isolate the right muscles, you work those specific, think about it, you work the specific muscles in isolation. They get a lot stronger very quickly. There's a lot of clutter in the sound. Whilst the right muscles are engaging, they're not engaging as much as they would be if they were completely isolated. So as you get better at technique, there's more chance that the right muscles are going to develop and get stronger because they're isolated and being used in isolation. The other muscles are relaxing. So as you get better, you'll get stronger, more stamina, etc., etc. End videos. You've already given us best knowledge. Thanks. Thank you. Now this is for people who do all the exercises. They stay connected and vocalize well. How to start connecting real songs and diagnose which exercise for what. So let's ask the question, what do the exercises teach you? What they're teaching you is the fundamentals of technique. So what you're looking for in a phrase of a song, if it's not going well, is you're trying to think what's going on underneath all the words and the different consonants and vowels. What's going wrong on a more fundamental level? So typically we'll go back to an exercise on the melody, because it helps us simplify it and it helps us get back to the fundamentals. Once the fundamentals are correct, we put we shape the sound as secondary to that with the vowels and consonants. We've got a better chance of it coming together. So the way you apply it is gradually and laboriously, to be quite frank. I remember spending a lot of time being able to vocalize pretty well, but I could very hard to apply it to songs. Now the irony is eventually that flips round. Eventually the exercises become harder than singing songs, believe it or not. And that's when you really know you've got your technique nailed, is the exercises become harder than the songs. Now what I mean by that is, let's just go back to this mastering mix. Some of these exercises, like this one I mentioned, the open vowel transition, oo, ah, ea, on a short scale, is a very challenging exercise to do perfectly, technically. Now the reason it's harder than singing a song is because you're transitioning between vowels without any help. Typically in a song, most vowel changes you'll have some help. You'll have a go or some kind of b, n, d, k, v, whatever it is. You'll have something to hold on to, because there's no word that says, that's got 3 vowels combined. There's some words like we, which is oo to e, which has just 2 vowels combined. But typically we don't have any words that are oo, oh, ah, 3 vowels combined. So you more often than not in songs you actually get some help. So if you can master an exercise like a short scale oo, oh, ah, ea, ah, then actually singing songs should be easier than that, because the fundamentals are so strong at that point that you're going to get more help with the lyrics than you will do with the exercise, if that makes sense. But in short, the way we transition is we use exercises to take us back to the fundamentals when we can't get the phrase in that the phrase right in that particular part of the melody. We've got to rewind, go back to the fundamentals, sing it coordinated at a low volume, sing it on a few different exercises, get it really solid on the basics, as in consistent compression, you're on pitch, there's no clutter in the sound. When we go back to add the words on, we can think of the words as we are now shaping the sound after the fundamentals. So we keep those fundamentals we worked on when we replaced the melody and the words with the exercise, and we now shape the sound with the words, the vowels, the new vowels and the consonants. But we've got to take what was common about the common fundamentals we have on the exercise into the song, because there's something that's the same. Part of your singing is the same regardless of whether you have all, on a mum mum mum, like all mums on a melody, or a bunch of words on a melody. Part of the technique, the basic fundamentals of what you're doing, should be the same regardless of the words, regardless of how you're shaping the sound after the basic fundamental coordination. Yeah, that gives you some understanding. I can answer these questions so well at the minute, it's crazy. Nobody on YouTube is going to be able to just tell you this reality like I can, unfortunately. But you lucky guys that found my channel, you're in for a treat. Why the green? Greg hates my green. There's some up here, my green horrible letters on my thing. I've done look, that's the video I did. Why are you so ugly? That addresses it. This channel's just about good singing information. I'm not bothered about developing a big following. I do like getting more subscribers, but I want it to be a channel that is information focused, that is fact focused, that is pure knowledge focused, no bullshit. So I don't market my channel. In fact, I make it kind of deliberately obtuse in one sense, and that's why. Orlando Martinez, question: best exercises to release all neck muscles over time, to sing high without outer muscles. This is a good one. So 2 things. I got one of these from Jamie Vendera the other day, and the other one is the other 2 are Singing Success stroke my own ideas. But They all work on the same thing. So when we've got a stiff, we've got outer muscles coming in, or we've got stiff jaw or whatever it is, stiff neck. And I'm going to address, let me just read out this one as well, because I'll address them both at the same time. By Elena. Do you have any tips for how to relax the hyoid bone, so that's the jaw, when singing higher? Too much tension there. So 3 exercises. Yeah? In fact, I'll give you 4 maybe, but the first thing, if we have muscles that are static and they are engaging and we don't want them to, one of the best ways to disengage them is to just give them something else to do. Now, I've had exercises on my channel before, like this tongue one, sticking the tongue out the mouth all the way and doing an exercise like that. That will give your tongue something else to do. So it inhibits if the tongue wants to creep back, or, you know, do a lizard thing where it's getting tense in the middle of your mouth and sticking out, and people are going to make videos that are going to mock and laugh at you. You have to find something else for the tongue to do. Now, like a la 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 would be another one, but basically get the tongue moving in a motion that is not the type motion that is the dominant habit. So give it something else to do. Now you can apply this rule with the jaw or with the neck. So the Jamie Vendera one I saw the other day, which I thought was very good, which I haven't done myself, but I'm going to, and it's going to be a good one for anyone that has neck, is this exercise like this, where the neck muscles are engaging and doing something, and you're going to get a bit dizzy, but the neck muscles are doing something which helps to override the old habit, helps to keep them loose and mobile and doing something versus tightening up when they're static. Yeah, so typically we're looking for just to do something that forces us to not engage the old habit, and then once we've established something new, we can often just let go and find that nice middle ground where the muscles are loose and left alone versus when they are grabbing and tensing. Yeah. The other one for the jaw is this exercise with a lot of mobility in the jaw. So if it's like a no 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 no, over exaggerate, over exaggerate that jaw motion to where it looks almost cartoonish. And just back to this neck one, it has to be very exaggerated and very all the way extreme. If it's just this, or if it's just there's not enough coordination happening to override the old habit. So really make it cartoonish, to where it's just like super loose and opening very wide and loose. And again, this one, make it very dramatic and cartoonish, make it look ridiculous. The other one's this, which people call the Stevie Wonder, and I've had teachers ask me to do that before. That's another very good one. And so that should give you some ideas about how to release bad muscles. The other one as well is the squeaky door exercise with the thumb under here. That you can monitor these swallowing muscles. There's quite a few different ideas. Also with this squeaky door, the stoppage on the sounds helps us to get that that nice correct type of closure that we're looking for, which I spoke about earlier on when we were talking about legit head voice and how to find the right type of closure on exercises, because that squeaky door is only really possible when we engage the right muscles, at least doing it properly. Right, last one, Riggs 1974. Hey Carl, some songs I sing along to I can find release without tension, but I have to keep it very light. How to best use these songs to help find a way to add more weight without tension? Well, weight without tension, question mark, is basically what we answered before. How to, find this correct type of closure, build power in the sound from a light spot. You've got to find that nice versus yeah, versus See, it's easy when I find that closure from the right spot, because it's a very efficient type of closure we're looking for. Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend trying to find that in songs. I'd recommend doing some formal exercises and trying to work on it one semitone at a time, and really, like, you know, like this one. This helps it a lot. Just the yeah, I'm looking to find that nice. That really helps me to get a sense of how do I close and compress the chords without adding any tension at all. Right. And that's it, guys. You could email me if you've got any. I'm getting quite a lot of these emails at the minute, though, so bear with me if I don't respond to you immediately. But I've left my email address there if you do have any more questions. This has been quite successful. I'm going to put a love heart on all of these comments just to say thank you, and please comment, rate and subscribe if you like my videos. I'm going to do another one of these. I might do one every week, I might do twice a month, but I don't want to love heart my own comment. That's just egotistical. But I've answered them all. They're all good. I got more than I thought, so I'll look forward to some more in the future. And yeah, comment, rate, subscribe, and have a good day. I'll see you again, guys. Bye bye.